Are you going through a tricky time in your relationships right now, particularly romantic, but even in friendships or family relationships, and need some sort of reset button? Well, you can join me here and now to unveil a really powerful and transformative exercise that I guarantee will literally shift the way that you see your relationships and love in under 30 minutes that it takes to actually do this exercise, but even in just this under 10-minute video. So, I want to start by telling you a little bit of a story here. When I used to work with clients in my client based practice, one of the most powerful exercises that I would use for clients early on is I would get them to sit down with one another and talk about two major ways that we give and receive love. The first way is something that has been trending for years now. It's a very popular topic, and it is called the five love languages. Now, this is the work of Dr. Gary Chapman, and he talks about how there's five different languages that we give and receive love through. And these are words of affirmation, physical touch, quality time, acts of service, and gifts. And all of them are pretty self explanatory. But there's another way that we give and receive love, and this is actually through our needs. And what I saw so many clients in my practice not understand is that we have literally different ways that we both give and receive love based on our individual programming. And if we don't have the awareness of that programming of our partner, and we don't know how they need to give and receive love to feel truly close and connected, and our partner doesn't know that for us, and by the way, this still applies to friendships and family relationships, then you are going to feel stuck. You are going to feel like you want more from your relationship dynamic. You're going to feel frustrated at times, maybe even a little bit alone in your relationship dynamic, or unseen or unheard. And by using this exercise that I'm going to go through with you here in this video, you can start seeing the way that you give and receive love completely differently between yourself and the people most important to you in your life. So, here's the first thing you want to do. You want to write out the five love languages. Okay. Put them down on a paper. Again, I mentioned them there, quality time. So spending proper quality time with somebody. This can include things like going on a date night, doing something together, like going for a hike. And really within quality time, I find most people are actually seeking the presence of their partner, right? This sense of attunement, this sense of the person being giving them their undivided attention. Then we have physical touch. This can be physical affection. This can also be intimacy. Then we have words of affirmation, which is actually giving compliments to your partner, affirming them, reassuring them, expressing love and kindness towards them. Then we have acts of service, which are really things like you being able to, in a relationship dynamic, give or receive. Little acts of kindness essentially in the relationship, cooking breakfast for somebody, bringing them coffee in bed, just going out of your way to do something for that person that is a behavioral act. And then gifts. I mean, that one's really self explanatory. And the first part is to actually take this work of Dr. Gary Chapman to outline your love languages and write out what is most important to you. And then in which ways does your partner receive love? And this is something you can literally do with your partner, or you can just do on your own, sort of observing your partner. And then the goal from that is to have the conversation about how you each have certain shared love languages and certain different love languages, and to talk about how it's going to be really important for you to give and receive love with one another in different ways. For example, if you really care about acts of service, you may ask your partner, hey, if you can do something like take out the trash more often, or bring breakfast in bed on a Sunday morning from time to time. Like, this will make me feel really loved. And in return, you'll ask your partner for specific examples for how they receive their love languages. If they say quality time, they might say, let's go for a date night and put our phones away and just really talk about what we're feeling and experiencing in our lives. And so when we have these actual strategies we can apply to the relationship there on a regular basis, that goes a very long way. And we ideally want to shoot for one strategy per week. But that's, an exercise a lot of people have done in relationships at this point. The second part is, I think, the part that just doesn't get talked about nearly enough. And it's that we don't just give love through our love languages, we give love through our needs. They're all important needs that we each have as individuals that make us tick. I have a huge need for personal growth, for example. So one way that I've often given love to people, until I had this awareness, is I would give love through my needs. I would basically project my needs onto others. So I would give people personal growth books or tickets to seminars or workshops. And what I realized over time is like that's not everybody else's need. And so if I'm loving through my need, I can be giving something to somebody that's not really landing with them. And this is actually something that more commonly impacts a relationship in a much more wide variety of ways. And so when we don't know what our partner's needs are in a relationship and we haven't had discussions about it in a similar way that we can have the love language discussion, then we can get really stuck. So the first thing I want you to ask yourself is, in this part of this exercise, what are the biggest needs that make me tick? What are the things that light me up on a daily basis? And are these needs that are related to connection? Are these things like attunement, validation, reassurance, closeness? Are these things that are more related to growth? Are these things like growing together, learning things about each other, having deeper discussions and sort of finding these light bulb moments where we can understand each other more deeply, or pushing ourselves together to be ambitious, take on a project, do something new together, growth oriented needs? Are these significance related needs? Are these things like wanting to feel deeply seen or heard or important to your partner, or to feel wanted or valued, or like you really matter? And, as we go through these different needs here, I want you to start keeping track of what's really important to you and what's really important to your partner. Are these certainty related needs, things like stability in a relationship, harmony, security, comfort, organization, structure, a sense of control? These can be needs that are very valuable to some people, and actually a way that people give love all the time. I'm actually going to give you an example here. I had a dismissive avoidant and fearful avoidant couple I was working with in a relationship. And what we found in having this conversation outside of the love language discussion was actually that the fearful avoidant partner was really seeking a lot of growth oriented needs, trying new things together, going to new places together, um, and and wanting to sort of expand themselves with their partner and have this sense of like deepening conversation or awareness about one another. And on the flip side, the dismissive avoidant partner in the relationship was really seeking to love through the needs of security and comfort, wanted to, have a routine together, wanted to watch movies, wanted to sort of, stay in, take it easy, because they receive love through the needs for security and comfort. And so they would project that onto their partner, thinking they were giving love in that same way. And on the flip side, the fearful avoidant had a different set of needs. And so we can see how these things become incompatible and actually create relationship pressure and tension very easily, until, of course, we solve for them by doing this exercise. Um, so we've talked about the love and connection related needs, the significance needs, the growth needs, the certainty related needs. There's other needs as well in relationships that can be very impactful. Sometimes it is like novelty related. So we can have uncertainty related needs, things like novelty, exploration, discovery. A lot of things around that can be really meaningful for people. So things like traveling to a new place, or taking on a new sort of um, commitment to go on a road trip, or just try something new, go to a new restaurant. But all these different things can very much fall into the area of novelty, and sometimes even growth. So as you go through and you think of these different needs and how they personally apply to you and to your relationship, there's just one big sort of section of needs that's left, which is our contribution related needs. And for our contribution related needs, these often look like expressing care, expressing support, leaning on each other, feeling like we can rely on one another and contribute to each other's lives that way. Going out of our way for one another to show up when that person is going through a difficult time, nurture, support that person. So I want you to just think of these different categories that we've talked about so far. And I want you to think about what's most meaningful to you. What are the needs that you really have in a relationship dynamic? And then I want you to think about, am I aware of my partners? Am I in a place where I'm looking at this person's needs in a relationship dynamic and showing up for their needs? And in fact, what do I even think their needs are? And one of the big things that I would see over and over again, that I'm sure you'll probably have a little bit of a moment here as well with, is that often the ways that we are giving love as we would need love, not necessarily as somebody else would need love. And so when we can start paying more attention to how somebody else receives love based on what their needs are and what is meaningful and important to them, we can start expressing love using one strategy a week, one commitment a week that we can make to giving love in that person's needs. And we can also have the conversation with our partner. Look, these are your needs, or this is what I think your needs are. Can you clarify? Here are my needs. Here's a way that I feel the most loved. In which ways do you feel the most loved? And sometimes when we have these needs that we can actually put together, I would often refer to these as like peak experiences. So, for example, if you needed, um, if personal growth was important to you, novelty was important to you, and love and connection are important to you. This could look like having presence, right? So like attunement, or your partner's presence, their ability to be present with you, um, going to a new place, go trying a new restaurant, and having a deep conversation so that you're learning more things about each other. So that can be growth related. Then you've got the novelty part, and then you've got the love and connection part. So you can actually tie some of these things together and actually create a system in your relationship that allows you to get multiple of these needs met by doing one thing. And I would often get couples to do this so that they could have these kind of peak experiences in their relationships where many of their needs were being met in very direct and powerful ways using just one commitment per week. And this is very valuable because it takes that sort of pressure and tension out of the relationship when needs don't feel met. And it also allows for there to be this ongoing growth and momentum of needs in a way that is most meaningful to you and, of course, to your loved ones. So, if you do not know your needs in this moment and you want to do a much deeper dive, I listed off a bunch of needs, but there are more needs than what I just mentioned. You can actually check out our needs course for free using the link down below for 7 days. So, just for a limited time. And that will allow you to print off the needs sheets and see all the different needs that exist and do this exercise that's in this course so that you can start getting clearer about what it is that you're needing and what it is that the people around you in your life are needing. And by having these conversations and then creating these systems for ourselves that we can have these sort of peak experiences of multiple needs being met at once, we can really move the needle in a powerful and impactful way in our relationships. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, for being here. Please consider subscribing to this channel if you're enjoying the content I put here, and would love to see you in our daily videos going forward. Thank you for watching.